this. It's just too much like a fairy story.
Good evening. The defeat that became a victory as Blackburn Rovers took the Premiership title on Sunday. And on Saturday comes the climax to this extraordinary football season, the Cup final.
All round the ground, there's cheering anyway. Redknapp has scored to make, and Blackburn are suddenly celebrating. They must have heard something else from West Ham. I don't believe any of this. It's just too much like a fairy story. They're 2-1 down and they're embracing. What can you say about this? And the whistle's gone. Well, amazing scenes. Blackburn have lost here. They've lost here, but they are champions. That's what the crowd is saying. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that in 25 years of commentating. Jamie Redknapp smashed the ball in the net, but suddenly the final score came in from West Ham and Blackburn knew they'd done it anyway.
They'd lost the battle but won the war because United, of course, were held. Now, if you were a Blackburn supporter the last time they won the championship, more power to you. But what a finish to the 1995 Premiership title. And we can now hear the thoughts of the Blackburn players and, of course, their manager, only the third to win an English League championship with two different clubs, Kenny Dalglish.
You get a feeling that it's going to be a good day for you, it's going to be successful, irrespective of what happens out there. I mean, I just had a feeling that it was going to be our day. Sometimes it goes the other way for you and that's the worst days you can get, but as I say, today I thought it was going to be a day that we were going to be successful, and it's a fairy tale coming here because if we can't win at Ewood Park, this is the second best place to win it.
I was going to ask you where it stands among all your other achievements as player and manager, Kenny.
Well, there's no league table, is there? I mean, to win this is magnificent, and at the moment I'm probably a little bit more shocked at winning this than what I was in the other titles, simply because we've come from nowhere and we've done it, and there's been a lot of tabloids filled with nonsense about the players lacking this or lacking that or lacking something else. I'll tell you one thing, they've not lacked his points because of 89 of them.
Could I just take you back 4 years to that moment when you decided to bring in Kenny Dalglish? How important was that looking back?
Well, I think it speaks for itself of where we were. We got promotion and then into the Premier League, and we finished, I think, fourth, and then we finished runners-up, and then we won it, and we didn't really plan to win until next year, so we've got another bonus. So we have to win next year now.
We thoroughly deserved it. I mean, Manchester United will go on about the loss of Cantona and Keane and Giggs and Kanchelskis, but if you look at our injury list as well, it's just as worse. We've got Wilcox, Warhurst, Batty, Gallagher. We've been without Batty and Gallagher for a whole season nearly, and there's millions of pounds worth of talent there, and to be without talent like that, it hurts, and it hurt us. But to our credit, we've battled all season, and we've not got the right result today. But West Ham have done us a massive favour.
Now tell me about today's game, because you started off pretty well with your goal, but Liverpool, if anybody thought Liverpool weren't trying, they made a big mistake.
Well, it was just a myth, wasn't it? Liverpool weren't going to try. Liverpool are a professional football club. Everyone's followed their example over the years, and they weren't going to lie down, and they proved that. Yeah, we got off to a good start. We managed to get our noses in front, but to Liverpool's credit, they pushed us all the way, but cheer at the final whistle, we knew we'd done it.
How aware were the players on the pitch knowing what was happening at West Ham?
Well, you get a little bit of feedback. Every time someone went down, he was asking the physio when he came on. He came on about 15 minutes ago. I asked him how long. He said it was 1-1. And, you know, from what the United have had, I thought that they would nick one. But, you know, all credit to West Ham, because anyone who holds United out for a draw is a good side, because they were the champions and we took it off them, so it shows what a good side we are.
So how does it feel to be champions?
Fantastic. It's great. I mean, thoroughly deserved, because over 42 games we are the best side. We took a bit of stick in the last couple of weeks. I think the opposing manager tried his hand at trying to put us off our stride. He must have mentioned everything in the book, but we didn't do what they did 3 years ago. We kept on in there, and we've got this to show for it today.
and very fitting it should happen at Anfield from your point of view.
Well, I think I said that earlier, John. It's, if I wasn't going to win a title at Ewood, or if Blackburn weren't going to win at Ewood, this is the place I would have chosen. Some of the other lads have plenty of players for plenty of other clubs throughout England, but this is the one I would have chosen.
Many congratulations, Kenny. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, Blackburn. So near and yet so far then for Manchester United, just pipped for their third title running. Let's hear from their manager, Alex Ferguson.
So many near things.
Oh yeah, it was incredible stuff. Incredible stuff.
Are they still flashing in front of your eyes? 2 chances for Cole, umpteen chances really.
Oh, I know. These things happen to people. The goalkeeper did it very well, in fairness. He spread himself magnificent for Andy Cole. And at the end of the day, you just needed out to a break and would have been champions. It was as close as that.
What was the thinking in starting without Mark Hughes?
We felt that we wanted to take that steam out of West Ham because they've got good little footballers in the middle of the park, and we felt the longer the game went would be all right. That was the thinking. Tactically it was all right, just we didn't expect to lose the goal we did. I think when you look at it, 88 points and handling all the things we've had to handle this year, Barry, those players, honestly, they deserve all the credit they can get. It's a marvellous performance by them. Really an incredible performance to be in the race right up to the last kick of the ball for the season. And when you look at our challenges over the last 4 years, we've lost 22 matches in 168 games. And it's unbelievable. No, I don't know as anyone's getting the consistency of that in a 4-year period in our country. But it makes you very proud of them, special players. And they prove today they do entertain, they give you your money's worth. That's one thing about them. So at the end of the day, we hold their hand up. We've done a great effort. Blackburn, 89 points. Anyone who gets 89 points and beats us deserves the title. Kenny's done a great job. I congratulate him, he and his players. It's a marvellous achievement to take the title from Manchester United. And we wish them well in Europe.
Sporting words from Alex Ferguson this afternoon. Confirmation that Blackburn are champions for the first time since 1914 and United runners-up just 1 point behind. Well, I said you were leaping out of the chairs this afternoon, and you were. It was thrilling stuff, wasn't it?
Unbelievable, and a wonderful advert for the English game. I thought the commitment of Liverpool and West Ham was total. But magnificent achievement from Blackburn Rovers. Dalglish and Hartford have taken them from mediocrity and virtual obscurity right to the top of the tree. And I think they are worthy champions. If you finish first, you are the best. If you finish second, then you've been beaten by the best. It was the same last year, the year before, and it'll be the same next year.
And championships are won and lost on trifles in a sense, aren't they, Trevor? I mean, Cole, if that shot had gone in instead of hitting the post, United were the champions.
I mean, yeah, we're supposed to be neutral, but we were on the edge of our seats. It was gripping stuff. I mean, you know, you couldn't have scripted it better. It twisted and turned. At half-time, as we said, it did look all over. And then Manchester United got level, and I must say, I did think they were going to get the second goal. All credit to West Ham, who defended well. And, of course, Liverpool then edged ahead. But it was just a case of whether United, you know, were going to score that second goal.
And McCloskey played like a man possessed today.
Yeah, a Czech possessed, yeah. No, I mean, if there is any spare champagne at Blackburn, please, can he send it down to Ludek? Because, I mean, he had one of those days, everything stuck, and, you know, he's a very popular lad, great trainer, very genuine character, and no one will be more delighted, I should think, than the other players, because he is a lovely lad, and he was outstanding, and really did catch the spotlight, didn't he, with his display.
You say that Blackburn are worthy champions, and indeed I'm sure they are. United fans, of course, will say that every time they played them, they won.
Yeah, but I mean, it's 42 league games, and I mean, United are a great side, and I definitely think they'll be back. But Blackburn scored more goals than any other team in the Championship, and that speaks for itself. I think that Blackburn are very strong down the middle. That's where you always look in a Championship winning side. Sherwood, an influential captain and a good player. But the three players for me that excelled when the going got really tough the last 10 weeks of the season would be the goalkeeper, the centre-back, and the centre-forward. Yeah. Tim Flowers, magnificent, Henry magnificent, and Alan Shearer out of this world. Tim Flowers made vital saves at crucial times, and none more so than against Newcastle last Monday night. Fox gets it wide, he cuts inside Henningberg, look at his position, Flowers on the line, great reactions, and a wonderful save. And I think the one coming up's even better. When it comes to Beresford, Flowers has come back across the goals, and somehow he managed to get a hand to it, and another crucial save at a really vital time. This man, for me, has been magnificent all season, in the air and in the deck, and he nips in with two crucial goals 4th of March against Aston Villa, comes in, unmarked, gave Blackburn 3 vital points. And then against Leeds United on 15th of April, again, great header, and that gave them a point. And he's been magnificent. But for me, the best player in the country is this man. You just run out of adjectives to describe this guy. His performances week in, week out are sensational. His never say die attitude works well here because he goes in where other people wouldn't. So brave here, and gets him a point in the last minute against Coventry. And again against Newcastle Monday night, he scores a vital goal. He's involved all the time. He's involved there. And when it comes back into the area, when Lasso crosses it, there's only one man at the far post. He comes in, gets above Beresford, and 3 points again. And I don't think there's any doubt about it. If you were picking one man in this country, you would pick him.
And you might pick Kenny Dalglish to be the manager of it, by the way.
Yeah, possibly. I think people will talk about Jack Walker's money. And I cannot deny that if there's no money there, then Blackburn don't win the championship. But the combination of Walker's money and Dalglish's know-how is formidable.
And how many managers win championships with 2 different clubs?
Is it 3? 3.
Yeah, Herbert Chapman.
You'll be a happy man tonight, Dalglish.
Mr. Clough.
He'll maybe buy somebody a drink tonight.
You never know.
No,
probably be you.
That's stretching it a bit.
Today I thought it was going to be a day that we were going to be successful. And it's a fairy tale coming here, because if we can't win at Ewood Park, this is the second best place to win it.
When Liverpool scored, I thought it was all over. They got the second goal. And then, sort of immediately after the reporters just howled it out, it was a draw at West Ham, so I couldn't believe the luck, you know.
Premiership this season and the championship, of course, came down to the final kick. Crowds were up, the quality of football was at times excellent, but of course it was also the season which produced the sleaze factor. Ray Stubbs has been looking back over the last 9 months.
Jack Walker's millions had financed it. Manager of the year Kenny Dalglish had assembled the players that won Blackburn's first title for 81 years. And so the championship trophy is residing in one of football's most famous boardrooms. Some Premiership statistics at the end of it all. Incredibly, the number of goals scored was exactly the same as last season, 1,195. Crowds were up 5%. The clampdown on discipline had a marked effect. Bookings up 70%, sendings off up 125%. 9 clubs ended the season with a different manager than they started with. The football was thrilling. And add to that, drugs, lies, secret videotape, match-rigging allegations, kung fu kicks and more. Has there ever been a season quite like it? Manchester United's Eric Cantona was serving a suspension when the season got underway. FIFA's discipline directives saw Queen's Park Rangers and United lose a player apiece on the opening Saturday. The consistency of the clampdown became the issue. No problem with the consistency in United's football.
It's Kanchelskis now. Mayer's made a forward run. Here he is. Hughes. Wow. Absolutely typical.
Blackburn's 1-1 draw with Southampton at the Dell saw something of a rarity. Alan Shearer missed. Bruce Grobbelaar, the goalkeeper that made the save. The success of World Cup '94 had improved football's overall image. And in signing Jurgen Klinsmann, Spurs pulled off a major coup. The German arrived with a certain reputation, of course.
Anderton to Klinsmann!
I didn't think about it doing a dive. It was really Teddy Sheringham's idea, and I took this idea and suddenly, you know, all the kids came over and told me, oh, we love this dive, could you do it again? And that's the reason why we did it also in the second game.
The fixture computer had given promoted Leicester, Forest, Blackburn and Newcastle all in the first 7 days. All 3 ended in defeat. The first against the Geordie club, where it was business as usual. Cole, goal. Ray Wilkins was wearing 8 for promoted Crystal Palace, but the Eagles were hit for 6 by a resurgent Liverpool. Steve McManaman's pace was going to be vital to them all season. And another World Cup star, Holland's Brian Roy, made an early impact. A major investment for promoted Forest. He scored against Ipswich on the opening Saturday. Stan Collymore scored at the City Ground against Manchester United on the Monday in a 1-1 draw. If Stan was the man, it was Roy and Collymore who were the main men of the Forest side. As far as transfer fees were developing, £5 million became the benchmark. Blackburn had bought Chris Sutton from Norwich. Who scores wins became the motto of SAS. Sutton and Shearer were quickly into their stride, often running, scoring and smiling. Klinsmann supplied an encore.
Klinsmann maybe, never caught, Klinsmann!
A second win wiped out Spurs' 6-point penalty for financial irregularities. August saw Fowler at the double, or to be precise, treble for Liverpool. He hit a hat-trick against Arsenal. And he did it in the space of 4.5 minutes. Everton's bad opening included a 4-0 defeat by Manchester City. But overall, the season had started well. Newcastle, Liverpool and Chelsea were the only Premiership sides with 100% records at the end of August. Leicester were already finding the going tough. They were one of 4 clubs with just a single point. September arrived with Kevin Keegan having whipped the Toon Army up into something of a frenzy. Cole goals for Newcastle kept their 100% record intact, but ended Chelsea's. Everton were hoping Nigerian World Cup star Daniel Amokachi will be the catalyst for success, but a Shearer-inspired Blackburn beat them 3-0. Everton were bottom of the table. At the 13th time of asking, Leeds beat Manchester United, the champions' first defeat. Spurs' defensive frailties became evident.
It's played David Lowe in. Oh, David Lowe has won the game for Leicester. 3 minutes to go, 2-0 the score, and time for Leicester City to party.
Manchester United were 2-0 winners against Liverpool. Cantona was back, and Brian McClair never let United down. The importance of having strength in depth was obvious even in September. Spurs' gloom deepened with a 4-1 home defeat at the hands of Forest. With the 6-point penalty to come, Arsenal fans were singing that Ozzy Ardiles was on his way to Ensley. Liverpool ended Newcastle's 100% record with an Ian Rush equaliser at St James's Park. Goalkeeper Pavel Srnicek is still trying to work out how the Welshman got so much spin on the ball. Newcastle remained top, Blackburn moved into second, Manchester United fourth. Everton and Crystal Palace were the only sides without a Premiership win at the end of September. Arsenal were struggling to get going. But early cheers in October came from Highbury. Arsenal fans saluted one of their heroes.
He's done it now, and Ian Wright has recorded his 100th goal since he joined Arsenal.
Ironically, the landmark came against his former club, but Crystal Palace won 2-1. It was their first victory, and it left Everton as the only club without a win. Black and white stripes were still on top. Robert Lee looked up and hit a cracker at Villa Park. That was 22 points out of 24. A perceptive early season assessment of Norwich from a columnist was that they lacked a centre-forward. True, he'd gone to Blackburn and scored on his return. But Chris Sutton ended up on the losing side. John Newsom scored a winning goal. Ipswich lost that day too. Former manager Mike Walker was bottom of the table. Flocks of smiling canaries gathered. Stan Collymore kept scoring. Forest moved up to second. Manchester United were going through a difficult patch away from Old Trafford. Out on the road, a third consecutive defeat came in Sheffield.
Wednesday in front. Moncao, Maddison, Letitia! It's his day again. And there's nothing in the world that Everton can do to stop him.
Everton were experiencing the worst start in their history. Manager Mike Walker was aware the vultures were gathering.
Constructive criticism, OK, you can accept. But some of the stuff that's been written about the club, me and the players is absolutely disgraceful. I mean, if I said anything like that, you know, about my players or anybody else, I would be being brought up for disrepute. And I find it, well, strange to say the least. But nevertheless, the club is in good spirit. The team has played very well at Manchester last week and should have got something there. We played very well at Portsmouth and didn't get anything. It's just a matter of time before it turns around.
Oh, look at that from Beagrie. That's real wing play, vintage stuff. Quinn, Walsh is in the centre waiting. Walsh! It's there! Oh, what a great goal. There's no other word for it.
It wasn't a happy month for the Walker family. Spurs goalkeeper Ian Walker was conceding on average 2 goals a game. October saw the early season trial of the riders that would figure in the 2-horse race. Many thought the stewards might have reversed the decision to send off Blackburn's Henning Berg and award Manchester United the penalty, finished off a la Cantona. United level, the 10-man Blackburn went ahead again, the champions equalised again, and more besides.
Oh, that's a loose one from Lusso, and Hughes has put United in front for the first time.
6 days later, Manchester United ended Newcastle's unbeaten run. But did Kevin Keegan start to form some future plans in defeat?
Keith Gillespie. And still. Oh! A goal of real class.
Blackburn were bringing records to a halt too. Forest's 24-game unbeaten sequence ended. At the end of October, Newcastle were still top. After 12 games, Everton were still looking for a win. Another team in trouble, Aston Villa, who picked up just 1 point in October. November was the sacking month. Spurs had won only 16 of 54 league games under Ozzy Ardiles. But the Argentinian walked away with pride.
I live and die by my principle, by the way that I want my team to play football. And this is what I did. And I'm pretty proud that I did it that way. At the end of the day, I did it my way.
Everybody was criticizing Ozzy Ardiles' way. Idea of offensive football, you know, of 5 attacking players. But if you watch all these games that we lost, it was not because we were too offensive. It was because we did mistakes in the defending areas, but individual mistakes and not tactical ones. And I'm still sure that with a bit more luck, Ozzy would have gone through this period and we would have started also then a positive run.
Mike Walker must have felt his chances of facing the final curtain were lessened by Everton's first win of the season at home to West Ham. Gary Ablett scored a vital goal, and that was followed by Everton's first away point of the season at Norwich, the club Walker had left to go to Goodison. Despite the draw, the end was near. In fact, it was 3 days away.
I mean, all we're saying is that we started to turn it round, you know. I mean, I always felt that was going to happen. I've never felt particularly unhappy. I mean, you're disappointed with some of the results, but we could have won arguably all our home games this year, but we haven't, and we're bottom. But it's ironic that we've now closed the gap a bit, and we're looking like we were going to turn it, and then the axe drops, as they say.
But suddenly, out of the Blues' managerial vacancy, came allegations that shook football to its core.
The former Liverpool goalkeeper Bruce Grobbelaar is strenuously denying claims that he took bribes to fix games.
A former business associate of Grobbelaar supplied a national newspaper with information and secretly filmed videotape. Football Association press conferences were about to become regular occurrences.
There's no suggestion that today's allegations are anything but an isolated case. We're determined to keep football above the suspicion of corruption in any form. We cannot emphasise strongly enough how ruthlessly it will be rooted out and dealt with wherever it appears.
Grobbelaar flew to his native Zimbabwe for an international, steadfastly protesting his innocence.
Regarding the allegations made against me, I again say I totally refute them.
He returned to keep a clean sheet against Arsenal and stood tall in defence of his reputation.
It's towards Campbell, who's free, and in goes Dickov. Really good save by Grobbelaar.
Still bottom of the table, Everton went for what was described as true blue basics. Former centre-forward Joe Royle left Oldham for a job he thought had passed him by.
To be honest with you, after the last time I thought that it looked dodgy, that perhaps it wasn't to be. But I'm extremely flattered and grateful that it has come around now. And once I knew that Everton were interested in me, you know, there was never really any other choice.
Royal appointment helped bring about a derby victory in his first game in charge. 4 relegation places meant there was still lots to do, though. Meanwhile, football's manic managerial roundabout was picking up pace. Queen's Park Rangers approached former player Rodney Marsh about taking an active part in the running of the club. Only problem, someone forgot to ask Jerry Francis what he thought, and he left the club.
Well, it wasn't Rodney Marsh or anybody else. I mean, as I've said before, it could have been Donald Duck for all I care. I mean, basically, I didn't know anything about the situation whatsoever. Obviously, that is something that didn't please me very much from that point of view.
But Villa Park was at the epicentre of perhaps the biggest shock. True, 1 point from 9 games was an awful run of form, agreed Aston Villa boss Ron Atkinson. The 7th defeat in that run came at the hands of Manchester United.
He's probably one of the best 3 managers in football, certainly with the most experience. But the game's about players. I wish you fellas would not go on about managers.
If a week is a long time in politics, 90 minutes must be an eternity in football. Villa lost their next game at Wimbledon and Ron Atkinson was sacked.
After a great deal of consideration, it has been unanimously agreed by the Board of Directors today to terminate the contract of manager Ron Atkinson with immediate effect.
You expect certain things. What I will say is that chairman has enjoyed more success under these last managers than he's ever enjoyed.
Alan Sugar was quickly out of his blocks to appoint a successor to Ozzy Ardiles at Spurs. Jerry Francis realised Spurs had to tighten up at the back and watched his side score 3 but concede 4 in his first game in charge against managerless Aston Villa. And there was more. Leicester manager Brian Little resigned after being refused permission to speak to Aston Villa and was their manager 3 days later. The Filbert Street view was that the situation left not a little but a lot to be desired.
Anybody who seriously believes that there has been no indirect approach of any sort, when one day the manager, the second day the coach, and the third day the assistant manager all indicate a willingness to leave a football club, and there's a vacancy where they've all played before, you know, you have to live in cloud cuckoo land.
November saw Paul Merson shown compassion by both the FA and Arsenal when he admitted drug, alcohol and gambling addictions.
Although we do not condone what Paul has done, we intend to give him all the support that we can in order to help him through this difficult period.
Champions Manchester United enjoyed their biggest ever derby win in November. City's early season form had deserted them. United were 5-0 winners. Ray Wilkins was the new manager at Queen's Park Rangers. His first game in charge ended in defeat. Alan Shearer fired Blackburn to the top of the table. The date was November the 26th. And that was the first time Blackburn hit the top spot. 4 straight wins had put them there. United were second. Everton moved off the bottom, replaced by Ipswich. Crystal Palace were moving in the right direction. If December be the month of goodwill to all men, there wasn't much coming Brian Little's way when the fixture list sent him back to Filbert Street within 2 weeks of his resignation.
I don't think I can recall such a malevolent reception as that received here by Brian Little when he came up 2 or 3 minutes ago.
Another managerial reign was almost over. Manchester City's 2-1 win at Portman Road was a 7th home defeat for Ipswich. Gary Flitcroft, a City goalscorer. John Lyle was out, George Burley stepped in. The noises echoing around the famous marbled halls of Highbury were worried ones. A finger was pointed directly at Arsenal boss George Graham, but he stood his ground in the inquiry that followed allegations that he received money out of a transfer deal he'd been involved in.
I'm quite comfortable in my position, and so are the club. I'm just letting it take its course. We've been to the inquiry. We were very willing and very helpful at the inquiry, and there's no reason why I should feel uncomfortable. I'm very comfortable in my position.
Spurs got just what they always wanted in December, victory over the FA. Their 6-point penalty and suspension from the FA Cup were overturned, and they were winning games. The profile and popularity of Matt Le Tissier was on the increase, and he was one of those giving great Christmas entertainment.
Collymore. He's done it! Stan Collymore!
That Collymore goal was the first Manchester United had conceded at Old Trafford. Forest wrapped up the points too. In fact, wrapping up presents was an important talking point on Match of the Day.
Well, you know, I think perhaps a few ties wouldn't go amiss. I do enjoy a nice tie, you know, and I've got a few in the old wardrobe there, but I think Alan and Gary seem to outnumber my number of ties, and perhaps a few more wouldn't go amiss, really. But, you know, I don't mind what pattern they are or anything, really. I mean, I'll wear anything, but just a few more wouldn't hurt, would it, really? Surely, I mean, couldn't somebody stretch to that? I see, more than anything else, how you were liking your job. Simple as that, really, no joke, okay? So, fellas, did you see that tie that Trevor had on the other night?
I certainly saw it, yeah, I heard about it anyway.
Yeah, oh, I don't know where he gets it from. No. So, Ian Rush, any hopes for yourself or for Liverpool for the new year?
Well, on a personal front, I'd like to stop using quite so many cliches in interviews, but at the end of the day, I think Liverpool can be there or thereabouts come the end of May. And if Robbie and myself keep putting the ball in the back of the net, keep plugging away, I think each game that comes, we could be a force to be reckoned with again, I think, you know.
Hey, Graham, your colours up at the back, mate, just there, look, it's up.
Yes, it's on purpose, actually. I'm trying to improve my image and look a bit like Eric Cantona. I think I've pulled it off very well, actually.
Big blow now, Frank. You missed a bit, actually.
Is happening? I'm looking best for the cameras. You know, once I blew me bloody head off.
I haven't got a tie. Trevor Brooking nicked it, actually.
And Leicester got a draw at Old Trafford over Christmas, and that prevented Manchester United from going top of the table. As Auld Lang Syne was sung, Blackburn led by 3 points with a game in hand. Tottenham and Norwich moved up into the top 7. Ipswich and Leicester were falling further adrift. Crystal Palace's goal famine saw them slip back down the table. So into 1995, and thousands of Geordies thought it was April the 1st and not January the 10th, when they heard Newcastle had sold Andy Cole to Manchester United. Kevin Keegan was pressed as to the reasons why.
The future of Newcastle, we are no longer a selling club, we are a buying club.
We are, but if a deal comes along whereby I as manager think I can take the club forward again, I've got to be allowed to do that, you know? I mean...
Newcastle had parted with a striker who'd scored 68 goals in 89 games for them. United said goodbye to £6 million and Keith Gillespie.
A big shock. You know, I think it's a shock to you boys as well, because no one thought that Kevin Keegan would sell me like arch rivals Man United, but I'm looking forward to it.
Cole didn't face Newcastle that weekend, but there followed one of the strangest quirks of fate. A knee injury suffered by Mark Hughes put on ice any chance of a transfer away from Old Trafford. A move Cole's arrival had sparked off. As it turned out, United were to need Mark Hughes more than ever. Paul Kitson scored an equalising goal for Newcastle. The fans had gone along with Kevin Keegan on the Cole transfer, but they didn't really understand. It was a week later that Andy Cole emerged to make his Manchester United debut against league leaders Blackburn.
Mistake by Warhurst, and here's Cole with a chance right at the start of his United career, and he's missed it. Quick look up. It's Cantona, and he scored!
But Blackburn were convinced they'd equalised late on. Alan Shearer adjudged to a foul before Tim Sherwood forced the ball in. Rovers' protests couldn't wipe away the disappointment that United had taken 6 points of them. Spurs under Jerry Francis went 10 games unbeaten. Popescu scored the goal that beat Arsenal. He got zebra gloves for Christmas. Liverpool's re-emergence was to bring them the Coca-Cola Cup and was fuelled by goals from Robbie Fowler, later to be voted the Young Player of the Year. January also saw an emotional Paul Merson, trying to come to terms with the problems he faced and trying to save his career. Arsenal showed enough support in George Graham to allow him to spend £4 million on John Hartson and Chris Kiwomya. But January included what most people see as the most significant moment of the title race. It came at Selhurst Park on Wednesday the 25th.
Cantona trying to get on his way, had a little kick at Shaw there out of frustration, and the linesman had a very, very good view of it. Now, temperature's rising, and out comes the red card. There's the morning headline. Eric Cantona. Oh, what's going on here? Cantona's getting involved with some supporters. Oh, this is outrageous. Of a dramatic controversy.
Manchester United has today suspended Eric Cantona from all first-team matches for the remainder of the 1994-95 season.
The FA would later extend the ban till the end of September. The top 6 remained unchanged. Blackburn had a 4-point lead. Aston Villa had reached mid-table respectability with a run of 14 points out of 18. Manchester City had slipped into the bottom half. A frightened face reminded football that crowd trouble was still a major problem. Rioting English fans forced February's international in Dublin to be abandoned. February was traumatic for Arsenal. Investigations into allegations that George Graham had received money from transfer deals had continued, and after reading an interim report from the Premier League inquiry team, the Arsenal board sacked George Graham, who's still fighting to clear his name. His assistant Stuart Houston was appointed caretaker manager. Paul Merson returned to playing. Big Ron was back, replacing Phil Neal, who moved on from Coventry. One of football's Mr. Motivators had an immediate effect. Coventry went on a run of 6 games unbeaten. 4 down meant no one in the bottom half could relax. Palace won at Ipswich. Ian Dowie, signed from Southampton, was a goal scorer. Every point was precious, more than precious.
Is it possible to put some kind of a price on the importance of staying in the Premier League this year?
My job. Blackburn hit a dodgy patch. Defeat at Spurs left them with 4 points from 4 games. Klinsmann scored, and it was in February that the £7 million man got off the mark.
It's Giggs to take the corner for United. Pallister's up there. Oh yes, turned in! And he's done it! He's done it! Andy Cole!
No wonder Alex Ferguson was smiling. With Cantona suspended and Hughes injured, Cole was settling to his task. A week later, he scored and set up another for Paul Ince in a 3-0 derby win at Manchester City. And that really put the pressure on the main road club. Tim Sherwood smacked in one of Blackburn's 3 goals against Sheffield Wednesday the next day, but the top 2 faltered at the end of the month. Blackburn drew with Norwich, and Everton's £4 million signing Duncan Ferguson scored the goal that beat United. He showed off his Glasgow suntan. Blackburn's lead was now back to 3 points over Manchester United with 12 matches to play. Newcastle moved back into third. The Ron Atkinson-inspired revival had taken Coventry out of the danger zone. Norwich were moving in the opposite direction. It's in March that the Professional Footballers Association honour their Player of the Year. Blackburn's England international Alan Shearer was the popular choice.
Alan Shearer, 100. A century of league goals completed in the grand Shearer style.
.34 goals equalled Andy Cole's Premier League record. Shearer may wear 9. United proceeded to hit 9 against Ipswich.
Well struck, in off the post.
Doesn't matter how they end up in there. It's United's 9th.
I think it's a once in a lifetime one, isn't it?
Hendry in.
The top two started to trade blows. Wimbledon presented Steve Bruce with the goal that put United top on goal difference. 9-0 wins help in that department. The next day, Blackburn beat Arsenal and regained top spot. Off the field, football's image was about to go back into the dock.
Chelsea and England footballer Dennis Wise has been sentenced to 3 months in prison for assaulting a taxi driver and damaging his cab.
Wise is hoping his appeal against sentence will be helped by some mitigating circumstances. Footballers, the police and the legal profession were regularly in each other's company in March. It was a controversial month, monster controversial.
We're all sort of obviously monster shocked at the moment, monster stunned. Monster stunned. We will be applying for bail this afternoon. We're going off to court now to apply for a bail.
3 top footballers are arrested by police investigating allegations of bribery and match rigging.
Aston Villa's John Fashanu was one of those detained, following the inquiries Hampshire police made in the light of the allegations made against Bruce Grobbelaar 4 months earlier. The football industry is praying there is no case to answer. Wimbledon goalkeeper Hans Segers was the 3rd player. All 3 report back to police on July the 4th. Eric Cantona was tried, convicted and jailed for 2 weeks for his attack at Selhurst Park. The sentence was then reduced to 120 hours of community service. His response demonstrated his complexity.
When the seagulls follow the trawler, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you very much.
Crystal Palace striker Chris Armstrong failed a random drug test. He'd been smoking cannabis. A short ban followed. On the field, football in March included a Liverpool win over Manchester United that helped Blackburn extend their lead to 6 points. Norwich won an East Anglian derby that pushed Ipswich to the brink of relegation. Jamie Curitan's second-half goal helped seal the victory. An important win for Norwich, but everyone in the bottom half of the table was feeling nervous. John Dean's smile didn't hide the worry. No change at the top, Blackburn by 3 points. Queen's Park Rangers had leapt into the top 10. Leicester and Ipswich both required miracles. Only 8 points separated Norwich in 12th and Crystal Palace in 20th. Leicester manager Mark McGee had worked tirelessly to try and bring about one of those miracles. But victory for West Ham against Wimbledon meant Leicester were the first club relegated. Everton still needed points and got 3 from their home game with Newcastle. Amakachi was back in the fold and a goal scorer. That relegated Ipswich. Norwich were in free fall and beaten by Newcastle. Peter Beardsley scored a magnificent goal. Newcastle's challenge had suffered from a lack of strength in depth. It was the end of the road for Norwich manager John Dean. He took the decision to resign. His assistant Gary Megson tried the hot seat, first making sure it wasn't plugged in.
Right.
Incredibly, Arsenal were one of the sides that mathematically weren't safe. But an Ian Wright double at Villa Park on Easter Monday saw them reach sanctuary, and the Gunners had their European campaign to savour. Easter helped shade the complexion of the title race. Blackburn allowed Leeds a late equaliser, and Easter Monday saw United only draw with Chelsea, but Blackburn were beaten at home by a Manchester City side that needed the victory. There was still everything to play for. Who else but Matt Le Tissier would secure Southampton's Premier League status? Perhaps the best news for Manchester United in April was that Eric Cantona confirmed he'd be staying at Old Trafford, having turned down Inter Milan.
I stay here because Manchester United is the biggest club in England and maybe in Europe, maybe in the world. And I'm very pleased to have the opportunity in the next 3 years to win again many trophies.
It was time to pause. The death of a Palace fan en route to an FA Cup semi-final put things into context. Football paid its respects and considered serious issues. Personal standards at football matches was one.
That is the one common thread which goes through all the things that have marred the game this season. The personal standards of behaviour of the people involved, of the hooligans who've caused problems, 1 or 2 players who've attracted the headlines for the wrong reasons, both on and off the pitch. And those are the things which we'll be concentrating on at the start of next season.
It's been an eventful sleaze season, but I think that's been dealt with in the right way. It doesn't always seem so because people are impatient to get immediate, dramatic results, punish the guilty, uncover those who've sinned and all that kind of thing. But the reality of it is that the intention is there, that if there is sleaze still in football clubs in this country, then the FA and the Premiership and the Football League are determined to uncover it and deal with it.
In terms of dealing with the transfer irregularities, or at least the allegations of irregularities and the malpractice, we've brought in new rules and regulations in 3 or 4 different areas. We've introduced new disciplinary procedures. We are in the process of introducing new monitoring procedures so that we can check that clubs are adhering with the rules.
There was much for the football authorities to consider. Blackburn were 8 points clear at the end of April. However, Manchester United could still close the gap with 2 games in hand. Leicester and Ipswich are relegated. 6 successive defeats had seen Norwich plunge down the table. And as the season prepared to witness its climax, Jurgen Klinsmann decided he couldn't resist the lure of Bayern Munich. The Football of the Year made a major contribution to both Spurs and English football. And as Jurgen Klinsmann knew only too well, you have to take the rough with the smooth.
Brian Little can safely say that at this moment in time, Brian Little is as happy as Brian Little could have hoped to be at Aston Villa. And despite our position, Brian Little is very happy. I'm content. I'm very pleased. I'm deliriously happy. Oh, what was Bowley saying at half time? I can't remember. I can't believe he signed Andy Cole. I can't believe he signed him halfway through the season. What am I supposed to think? Better apologise, Alec. Go on.
Hey, alright. Stuart, it's George. Yeah, I'm come back to help you. I'm in the stand. I'm in disguise. I've got a piece of paper over my mouth. No one's recognised us yet. It's great.
Chuffed.
Well, I do maintain that Crystal Palace will escape relegation, you know, because the muddy pitches have gone now, and as we all know, they're so much better, especially Chris Armstrong, on grass. Grip on there, James. What? You didn't realise what you said then. No, I did. Oh, tell you what, fellas, let's arguing apart. I'm not arguing. Well, have a look at this, Jim.
People have said that now we're under a little bit of pressure to get into Europe, and maybe selling Andy Cole were a mistake. But I have made mistakes in my life, and maybe with the benefit of hindsight, I think the worst mistake I made was having that bloody perm in 78. I looked a right bloody puff, didn't I? Shouldn't have said that, should I?
Yeah, for sure. He's a little bit swollen. I told Darren Sugar I didn't want to stay no more, and he smacked me in the mouth, actually, and it's a little bit swollen, for sure.
Delirious?
Pulses were racing fast when the relegation issues began to be settled. Norwich had put in a season-saving performance at Leeds when a penalty decision went against them. It broke their hearts. A late winner from a Leeds side that would qualify for Europe sent them down. And they were joined by the luckless Crystal Palace last Sunday. Manager Alan Smith lost his job on Monday. It seemed the final throes of the title race were preordained to ensure it would run to the very final minute of the season. United beat Coventry, Andy Cole a goalscorer. But Blackburn refused to wilt. Shearer struck to ensure 3 points were taken from their last home game against Newcastle. United had to face Southampton 2 days later, and the title was on its way to Ewood Park when a late penalty decision confirmed everything would hang on the final day. The gap was 2 points. Manchester United went to West Ham, Blackburn went to Liverpool. The final whistle was sounding at Upton Park. Blackburn were the champions. Kenny Dalglish joined Herbert Chapman and Brian Clough as the only managers this century to have won the title with different clubs. So Blackburn Rovers became the FA Carling Premiership champions. Forest, Liverpool, Leeds qualified for the UEFA Cup. Newcastle will join them if Manchester United win the FA Cup. To date, Sheffield Wednesday are the only club in the bottom half of the table who haven't had a change of manager in the last 9 months. Manchester City parted with Brian Horton only yesterday. Every club played its part in a quite exceptional season, but only one club can be champions, and after waiting 81 years, this year it's Blackburn Rovers.